Hello, my name is Jonathan Potter. I am a photographer and communications consultant. I am normally based out of Los Angeles, California. About 5 weeks ago, I left Los Angeles to come up to Portland, Oregon, the Portland area where my wife has been living and working for the last year or so.
My name is Alexandra Friedman, and I am a set and production designer for film and theater.
She's been living with my parents, and so I came on up to be with her and our dog.
Oh, hello. There's my dog Edie walking in. Hi, little one. You're on video.
My name is Christy.
Julia Henson.
Deanna Michelle Daniel.
Stevie Namazi.
Kristen Tripe.
Megan. I'm a writer-director.
I'm Sean Brown. I work in restaurants as a server, and I'm also an artist.
A dancer, a musical theater performing artist, and a dance teacher.
Which week of lockdown is this?
You know what? I have no idea at this point.
5?
5, maybe?
I'm just lost count at this point.
It's 6.
5, 6, something like that.
Could be more. Definitely not less.
But it all just blurs together. It's all one big day. There's no more weeks anymore. What month is it?
It has been 5 weeks since I had any physical contact with any human of any kind.
Yeah, this is week 6 of lockdown. Yeah, going strong.
Week 6 also means that I cut my own bangs this morning. So maybe I'll regret choosing to film this video at this moment. There hasn't really been an update or change in my work status because my work involves mostly computer drafting. I'm able to do it from home.
I am doing some work from home. It's not a ton.
There isn't anyone at the studio right now, and they're not actually doing much animation work, but people are continuing to fabricate from their homes.
We had kits made up for us. We went to work in 30-minute increments on our own. We were handed a package with all of our assignments and went home. So we've managed to get a mini lathe and set up a soldering station and got a little drill press. Hopefully, this will get us through the end of April.
All of my teaching jobs for the spring were canceled. I had a directing job this summer and it got moved to online. And otherwise I do have I teach English to Koreans online, so that job is still happening.
I am thankfully still employed. I am still teaching preschool virtually, so we are doing remote learning.
I am still teaching online for both of my teaching jobs, and I'm currently not working at the restaurant where I'm employed.
My work status is I'm currently unemployed. Hasn't changed.
I was laid off from my restaurant job on March 16th, and all of my transcribing work dried up that week as well.
Yeah, I'm still an unemployed individual.
It's very weird right now, work-wise. It's a very unprecedented situation in my experience.
My remote client for my social media management job closed up shop. Didn't have anything to do with the pandemic, so that remote work is now dried up, and so I'm sort of searching for other remote work. And of course, all of my in-person work, photography and video projects, and all the commercial work that I had booked out is also gone because nobody can get together, everybody's closed. So
all my auditions, shows have all been postponed. I had a cabaret debut that I was putting on a month ago, but that had to be postponed.
So we've made the decision to pack up our apartment in Los Angeles.
We've decided it doesn't really make sense to continue to pay rent on our apartment down there since my contract here is going to go through September, October, probably.
And then we're going to kind of reevaluate what our lives and what the job landscape looks like after that. Yeah, some pretty relatively major changes in our life thanks to the coronavirus pandemic.
So the last time I talked with you all, I had a job and I was working remotely, and the place I worked for, they had to furlough half of their administration, and I happened to be in that group that was furloughed. So currently I am on unemployment.
I've signed up for unemployment benefits.
I did file for unemployment.
And I still haven't gotten my unemployment money yet.
I haven't received a check.
I haven't received my EDD debit card yet, so it hasn't helped at all yet.
And it's been a couple of weeks.
So that's difficult.
I just started receiving unemployment about 2 weeks ago, and then the CARES Act kicked in, so now I'm receiving the expanded unemployment as of the most recent payment, which I'm actually still waiting on.
The unemployment filing process is very confusing.
It's really unfamiliar, and there's a lot of precarity to it, never knowing when the payment is going to get deposited, when you're even going to be able to get onto the site, because it's crashing all the time because there's so many millions of people on it all the time.
Since I'm freelance, I was very confused about whether or not I could even apply for unemployment.
Apparently, self-employed people are supposed to be able to qualify for unemployment as well, but my portion of self-employment income hasn't been figured into my payment.
When I entered the information, I went back and it told me I made $0. And so I was trying to go back in to change that, and then I had trouble getting back in.
There's been a lot of waiting for websites to load and for people to pick up the phone. So it's a confusing bureaucratic situation, but I am receiving help now, which is a huge relief.
Honestly, I may be getting more money from the federal, because of this whole thing with the federal government and them giving you $600, I may be making more money. So that seems cool. But on the downside of that, when am I going to go back to work? And the furlough period is until June 1st. And yeah, I don't foresee the theater opening before then. So
I have not received my stimulus check yet.
I don't know if we've gotten our stimulus check because it may be in our mailbox in LA.
Haven't received a stimulus check.
I have received my stimulus check.
I did receive my stimulus check.
I have received the stimulus check from the government.
I have not received my stimulus check.
I have not received my money from the government. Where is my stimulus check?
We haven't gotten our check yet, and I think it has to do with getting a refund versus owing tax every year. And I finally figured out that I needed to go to the IRS website and give them my bank account info again.
It keeps telling me that they can't find my information or something. Apparently it's a common thing, but still, I pay my taxes. Where is my money, government? That's how I feel right now.
What am I going to do with it? Probably just put it in the bank and it'll go towards bills.
I'm going to pay a few bills with it that I'm still paying.
Yeah, I mean, what else am I going to do with it?
Because bills. Because the bills keep going up.
I would save it if I could save it, but probably going to save it until I need to pay my rent with it.
I hope I can use some of it for savings, some of it for donating to people in need right now.
Part of me feels as though I should, at least my half of the stimulus check, I should donate it. But I'm also aware that we don't really have savings.
I would love at this moment to only be using the money from unemployment, and I could put that stimulus check in my savings for a rainy day, because who knows what's going to happen.
My plan is to put it into savings.
I'm going to keep it in my bank account, buy food with it, and save the rest.
And I know that's not the point of the stimulus, but I'm feeling really insecure right now about the next year to 2 years.
I have no idea what the next few months look like for me.
From everything I'm reading, we're in this for the long haul. We're not going to be able to securely reopen public spaces until we have a vaccine and mass testing, and neither of those are anywhere close. There's
going to be a pretty gnarly economic situation when we get back, and I don't want to be broke because I spent all my money on stupid stuff. Like, I've been seeing some memes where people are talking about buying PS4s with it. I'm just like, if you're buying a PS4 with your stimulus check, you either are super paid before you even got it, or you live with your mother.
I am concerned if we don't get more stimulus money that I might be in a really bad position later on.
My, bank account is only depleting.
And that is scary. So that's what I think me saving that money is the smartest thing to do.
If I don't see it, if it's not in my hands, it doesn't exist. So right now, I don't have unemployment. Anything can happen. Who knows? A stork could come out of the air and not bring a baby, but just take my debit card.
So having that $1,200 in the bank will hopefully give me some choices about where I spend my time and how I earn my money, and maybe it'll help me, ease myself into a different mode of working.
So the stimulus check is staying put in the bank account for now, for a while, until I need it.
Yeah, we're basically going to put that stimulus check under the mattress and see what happens.
I would love to use it for art, though, in the long run. If everything works out, I'm using it to, just get some art out into the world. But who knows?
Right now, there are so many platforms that are creating art. There are people doing Facebook Live concerts and sing-alongs.
I'm a part of a play reading group that meets every Sunday on Zoom, and we read a different play each week, and a different person brings a play forward, and casts it and directs it, and then we all talk about it.
There are people making videos of themselves singing and dancing, and it's all over the world, and it's with people all over the world, and people watching all over the world. And that is really special.
And I feel as though I'm learning more about theater in this situation than I have probably since I was in grad school, which seems like a very weird side effect, but it's true. As an actor, not so much, because I'm alone in my house. Well, I have Sean, but we're not really acting scenes out together.
I think it's lovely that people are creating art during this time, but it's different than live theater.
Theater, especially, is meant to be live in the room with someone.
I had a cabaret debut that was supposed to be a month ago, and I'm holding on to the idea that I get to perform it live with my cast on stage together and my crew working all together and my audience of friends and family that are all there with me physically experiencing this live theater one night only show. And that's something that is unique to live theater that you don't quite get when there's a screen between you and the audience.
So I have found it very difficult to think about taking my practice online.
That's ultimately made me rethink a lot of my choices, made me rethink my life. Because what is an artist if you're not making art? My soul, is half not being fed.
So I'm having this really interesting moment as an artist right now, where now that I'm sort of past the initial stages of fear and grieving and stress, I'm starting to be able to use some of the time for creativity. I may never have a sort of a gap like this again in my work life where I'm on unemployment and my job is to stay home. So it's almost like being a subsidized artist. I'm being paid to stay home and I can be creative with that time.
During quarantine, I tried at the beginning to just push out something because now I have the time.
For a few weeks that felt like a huge pressure.
Now I can make all the great art.
It was really stressing me out because I was like, oh my God, this is the only time, the only moment this will ever happen.
And that was equally damaging.
And I feel like I've gotten past that to just, what can I create right now that I will enjoy? How can I most deeply enjoy my own creative impulse right now?
Art making practice during quarantine is probably the best thing to have come out of this, I think.
I'm the type of artist that thrives when I'm given time. And right now I have loads of time. So I've been very adamant about being passionate about this whole thing. I've been working pretty consistently on art every day. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't work on my voice, that I don't write music, that I don't play music, that I don't do something to get my body more free, that I don't read to move further in my mentality.
You know, astrology, people are into Mercury in retrograde. Mercury in retrograde is a shitty time, but it's also a time of deep reflection and slowing down. And this whole month has felt like a Mercury in retrograde, if you will say.
I have a lot more time and no pressure to really make anything. So when I feel like making something, I just do it for the pleasure of doing so.
There's a lot of luxury in having this kind of space, and I treasure it. And part of me really doesn't want to let it go.
I'm really taking the time to be with myself, taking my time to think, to research.
I'm reading. I've done a lot of reading, which I do find some solace in.
Then I spend days doing other things.
Things that just distract you and let you use a different part of your brain that's not focused on anxiety is also really, really helpful.
It has been a good time for writing and for painting.
And I think that art can look like, you know, cooking or gardening for some people.
I've learned how to make food that I've never made before because I have time. I'm not tired at the end of the day.
It's fun to come up with things that you can make at home that are better or different or unique versus what you would find, you know, at a restaurant or at the store or something like that. So that's been pretty fun too.
I've made bread like everybody else, apparently. My mom had to ship me yeast because it doesn't exist in stores anymore.
Anything that engages people's creativity and has them focus their energies on something other than the stress of the moment is invaluable.
You know, the project that I've been working on right now is around the breaking of spring and how this is a beautiful time in Oregon and all of the things are in bloom, but at the same time, there's nobody out. There's nobody out enjoying it, and so all of this beautiful springtime foliage is just sort of going unexperienced, and the idea of cycles, I think, are really interesting right now. That this is a cycle and it'll cycle itself out.
But I am really grateful for all of the artwork I've been pumping out during this time. It's certainly kind of opened up different projects, different ideas for me that I'll pursue.
After quarantine, I have decided that art is more important than ever. And I hope that financially after this, I can, you know, go the places I want to go, like meet and be with the artists and the people who can make the changes in this world, because this quarantine period has given me such an appreciation for what I do.
Because I know that who I am has value. I know it. Society may not know it. And it doesn't really matter if they ever acknowledge it, but like I need to acknowledge that to myself, and I need to create a structure for myself going forward that protects that creative flame better than it was before all this happened.
I think that we're going to see a change in art making when we come out of this.
I think it's going to look a little different.
So in talking about the future as a theater maker, it is very hard to imagine the future.
I don't know what'll happen because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with this thing. It seems like every day is a roller coaster.
I don't know what's next. You know, I don't know what this is going to mean for the landscape of the entertainment world moving forward.
Even when they lift some of the restrictions, it'll be a long time, I think, before people are even comfortable in a crowd watching something, which means everyone's gonna have to be innovative, to think of new ways to safely bring people together to share stories.
But I am a little bit excited to see what that looks like, because I think that some of the greatest creativity, the greatest discoveries in art making come from challenges and having to try something new and having to do your best with what you've got. And this is the situation we're about to be in. And I'm kind of excited to see what these wonderful theater makers and filmmakers and music makers and visual art makers and storytellers do in this new environment.
I have thought about, maybe doing small venue spread out performances, but even when I start to think about it, I just sort of laugh because I just really can't envision it right now. And it's really frustrating. I'm sure there's some other people that don't find it so difficult, but I'm having a really hard time.
Maybe smaller audiences, maybe just how people view art making will be a little bit different.
I think we'll see some exciting things happen. I don't know what those things are going to be yet, but I really feel confident that we're going to see some groundbreaking changes.
I hope that arts come back with a vengeance, because people need that. And I hope in this time, those that have maybe questioned the value of art are seeing things differently.
I think artists around the world are creating and being inspired, and I love that out of all of this, we're going to have more art for sure. There's more art being made, more art being inspired and created, and that's something I think that's so lovely about this time.
I think that those of us who make art and make it for ourselves are going to keep doing that, regardless of whether we're stuck inside at home. It just might look a little different. We might not have access to the same things that we normally have, but it's still going to happen. So
It's going to be real different. Real different.